somehow not aware, I have been building my very own custom theme park in Planet Coaster 2. Discovery Studios, which is going to have many different themed areas based on real life things, such as our first area, which was the hit motorsport racing series Formula 1. And with that area now complete, with its very own coaster, dark ride and various flat rides, it is time to move on to the next one, which, as revealed in the previous episode, is Wallace and Gromit. I can't wait to start building this area, and we're going to do so today with the first ride in the area, an Intamin motorbike-sidecar coaster, a brand new ride in the game and a brand new ride for me because I've never built one of these before and I'm very excited to get started. So be sure to watch till the end so you can see a work in progress POV, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you want to see more episodes of this series in the future, because there is so much more to come. Yes, welcome to episode 6 of Discovery Studios. Exactly, episode 6. We are not far into this series at all. There's so many more episodes, so subscribe if you haven't already, like I've also said already. Anyway, as you can see, we are today starting the brand new area in the park. Of course, we built that entire F1 theme land with a brand new Intamin drift coaster that I've made, along with a huge F1 test track dark ride, which I was super proud of, and I really do appreciate all of the kind comments on the previous video. It genuinely does mean so much to me because a lot of the time I do build coasters in this game. Like, that's my main thing. You might have seen in the previous series I did, literally half of that park is just pure coasters, and that's because that's my forte. That's the thing I'm best at, so I wanted to do it more, and I barely did any dark rides, and whenever I did, I didn't feel like they were up to standard of the park and all that kind of stuff. So I was worried going into this that the dark rides wouldn't be that. But you guys really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad. So yeah, I really appreciate all of the comments on that video, and all the comments in general on this series so far. It's been an absolute blast to make this park and bring it to life, and hopefully this area is even better, because not only are we going to have a huge coaster that we're building in this episode, but we're also going to have a huge dark ride, and I'm going to explain not what it is in this episode, because I'll save that for next time, but I'm going to explain sort of the whereabouts of it, because I'm literally building the entrance to it right now. So, Wallace and Gromit then, of course, two big British icons here in Britain, of course. And those two go around on different adventures, and for some reason, Wallace gets a new job every single film, and it's just incredible. There was a new film that released not so long ago, Vengeance Most Fowl, and if you follow me on social media or you've just seen my videos over time, you will know I am a huge Wallace and Gromit fan. Wrong Trousers is one of my favourite films of all time. I just absolutely love the series, and I thought, if I'm building a park in Planet Coaster with all these IPs and films, games, whatever, Wallace and Gromit had to be in there, and especially with a brand new coaster type that was recently added, my idea for it has completely been overhauled. I mean, originally I was actually going to build what I'm going to build, but the fact that they've added the coaster type into the game and I don't have to build a custom train or anything, it's perfect. Like, it couldn't have come at a better time, and I think it was just meant to be, you know. Frontier added it just for this area. No, I feel like the fact they've added it, though, just meant that I had to make that coaster type, and it's a very exciting coaster type, so I really hope you guys do enjoy that, and I'll get onto why I've chosen that coaster type later on, after I've explained and built this here, because of course this is 62 West Wallaby Street. This is the street that Wallace and Gromit live on in their fictional world. And you might think, if you've not watched Wallace and Gromit, oh, it's just their house then, so they live in it, and what's the big deal? Pretty much every single film, other than maybe Curse of the Were-Rabbit, has a major plot point happen in his house. So I feel like I have to build it. You can't have an area based on Wallace and Gromit and not somehow enter his house and go into the living room and the dining room and everything, even the basement, everything like that. It just has to be done. So that is what I'm doing. As you can see, I'm building their house, and with that, I'm not just going to leave their house in the middle of a grass field, because it's not. So I'm going to build the entirety of West Wallaby Street, made my own way, because obviously I'm going to have two different major rides in this area, so I need to create two major entrances. This right here is not the entrance to the major coaster. I'll get onto that later, of course. But there is going to be another major building in this area that you're going to be able to walk up the street to and enter in to go and ride the coaster we're going to build in this episode. As you can see, the roof going in, I was really trying to get this accurate. Like, I was looking up the films, I was obviously watching some of the films at the time, and they're so good that sometimes I just let them play in the background whilst I was building this. But I'm really happy with how the front of this house has come out. Like, I've never built anything like this in Planet Coaster 2 before, or any Planet Coaster game. I've always just built, whether it be a house or something, very generic, just sort of in the background, you know, just one brick wall, flat, couple windows, door, done. That is pretty much all I've built in the past. But this is like, you've got that sort of turret style window that I'm putting that roof over right now, and you've also got that sort of overarching roof over the door and everything. I've never gone to this much detail and that much of an extent to build a house before in this game, so it was quite a nice little, you know, taster session in housing in Planet Coaster 2, what I'm on about. But with this house, of course, this is now talking in the theme park design headspace, because of course I'm definitely not a theme park designer, but I wish I was. As you can see, I'm trying to make this house as realistic as possible, but there has to be a way to distinguish this house from the other very similar houses on the street, because otherwise people are going to walk straight past this, especially because it's an entrance of a major ride. People are just going to walk past it and think, oh, it's just a piece of theming, whatever. No, we need a way to make sure people know this is 62 West Wallaby Street. This is Wallace and Gromit's house. You can enter it and go on this ride that will be in here. So, as I said, contraptions are going to be on the outside. You're going to have the huge satellite dish that comes out for his Norbot gnoming device in the most recent film. And we're also going to have the slide, as you can see here, I'm building it, that goes around the outside, because this guy, Wallace, man, he can't do anything on his own anymore. It's actually crazy, but we won't get into that because that's getting too political with Wallace and Gromit, you know. The fact Gromit has to put up with Wallace's nonsense all the time. Yeah, we're getting too deep into the Wallace and Gromit franchise now. Maybe I should make a Wallace and Gromit channel and we just yap about it. That'd be quite funny. But as you can see, adding some green trims to the walls and the roof, sorry. And yeah, so that slide and the other contraptions should be enough to actually show people this is Wallace and Gromit's house, not just some random house on this street. So hopefully done that all right. I haven't actually shown you in this time lapse coming up the actual process of building the rest of the street, because I can't lie to you, it was really boring. And as much as I sit there and I say, oh, I cut out all the trees and the bushes and stuff and the rocks because it's boring, this was even more boring, because it was literally just take that one house, modify it a little bit, copy paste it over. Take another house, modify it, and then copy and paste it over. It was a very long process, but we got there in the end, and now that full street is complete by the end of this time lapse. And I don't know why I'm just sitting on the scenery typing board. Okay, I just froze for a minute apparently. So I needed to add some brick sort of trims to the top of these walls. I didn't really know what to do. Of course, this is just a classic, again, classic British street. Adding that over the top of the fence walls there. I love the sort of British street vibe. I don't know, there's something about it once you see it in real time, especially at night as well, that I really do love. But yeah, that's now completely done. You could just about see it back there. You can see some houses off on the left and right. Those are for the copy pasting. I've actually built a little pub in the corner there with the sort of parasols and everything. And I'm painting out a sort of map for where the queue line and entrance is going to be for the brand new roller coaster, the Intamin Motorbike-Sidecar LSM Multi-Launch Coaster. That is such a long name for a coaster type, but that is what we are building. And talking of long names, even the real life version that is this coaster type has a long name. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. There you go, I said it fully. But genuinely, I have ridden that now. I hadn't at the time where I thought about this plan, and it's a great ride. I'm really sad I didn't get to go on it more than once, but it was a fantastic experience going on that, and I just think it would work so well with a Wallace and Gromit theme. If you don't know, Close Shave and Vengeance Most Fowl obviously came from Close Shave, but came back in the most recent film. Both Wallace and Gromit do ride quite often in this motorbike and sidecar. I mean, Gromit uses it way more than Wallace does now, but genuinely, as soon as I thought of that idea, I think I was actually in the queue for, I think it was Lost Gravity at Wallaby Holland. And I just sat there for some reason. It just clocked in my brain. I was like, Planet Coaster 2, what could I do for my next park? So, yeah, this is dating a while back. This is dating back to July. I thought, hang on, what a great idea. Make a motorbike sidecar train, just even if it's art shapes or whatever, and add it to my park and make it a Wallace and Gromit themed motorbike sidecar coaster. That would be amazing. And then in September we got the announcement that they were actually adding the actual coaster to the game, which was even better news, and I couldn't wait to get started on this. So this has been a long-term plan for this park, and as you can see, we're already starting off really nicely with a small little launch into a slightly faster launch, and then we're going into an even faster launch. So it's going to be a lot like Hagrid's, where you're going to have these launches maybe every 10 to 15 seconds, and then go into another one, then go into a show scene, and then there's going to be so much stuff happening. And much like Hagrid's as well, there will be a reverse spike and everything like that. So you've got a lot to look forward to with this coaster. And there's a lot to theme as well, which we're going to be doing over the course of the next episode. Because much like the F1 area, like I said earlier, we're going to build this fully and then start building the entirety of that new dark ride, which is where I guess West Wallaby Street mainly was, right at the bottom. You're going to have that huge warehouse. You see that sandy square again, but on the left, the one with the two random houses in it, that's the warehouse for that dark ride. So sort of planning that already, and I've got an idea for it, which I'll reveal in the next episode. But yes, there's a little scene there. Again, not taking full inspiration from Hagrid, so I haven't looked at a single POV of it. Of course, I know what the layout is roughly in my head, but I'm not trying to copy it exactly. I'm just taking some slight inspiration for the round sort of scene that you've just seen me build and that launch, because you're going to head over the zoo wall when you do that airtime hill just there, because I thought that'd be a really cool plot point of the ride itself. And here is where I got a bit confused. I was like, what do I do now? Because do I go into like a drop track or something? Do I go into that reverse spike? I just kept making it go around in random places, and I was trying to keep it in this sort of rock painted area. I like to paint things for some reason in this game. I tried to keep it in there, but it was really difficult to actually keep it within that boundary. So I tried my best, but it went a little bit out of it, but it doesn't really matter because there's going to be so much sort of behind the scenes stuff around it, so it doesn't matter too much. And there goes that spike with the fast switch track that goes into it. I absolutely love the fast switch tracks. I think it's one of the best additions they've made to this game in its entirety. It is such a good thing to add, and I think they did such an incredible job with not only this, but the LSM Raid coaster as well, which there will be one of in this park. I am really hoping that they add that fast switch track thing to the multi-dimension coasters as well, because I know a few of them, especially the sort of Uncharted-esque one, they use a lot of them in real life, so hopefully they add them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I did ask the Frontier team when I was at their HQ and their offices whether or not they would be adding that, and they said they might be. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but either way, I'm sure it doesn't matter because it's not that major of a thing, I guess. As you can see, the full layout is coming in really nicely now. You've got this scene right there where you're going to jump over the wall straight afterwards, and then you're going to go into that reverse spike, which took a lot of different sort of iterations to get right. This section wasn't fully complete either. You can sort of see you just sort of launch backwards and then turn up into the drop track. Was not happy with that at all, so I decided to actually replace that. I don't know if I'll do it in this time lapse, but I replaced that with a backwards helix that goes round into the brake run. Oh, here we go. I'm literally doing it right now. I could have waited 2 minutes, but obviously when you're going backwards at that high speed, you can't do too much. You can't really have like really fast-paced bank turns and everything because it's just too much for a rider going backwards, but you can't do too little in that one turn, so I decided to add a helix like you can see there, and it worked a lot better. I did make that and then realised that is exactly what Hagrid's does, but oh well. But one thing I did make that was a bit different to Hagrid's, which I didn't really realise again until after I'd made it, was the fact that Hagrid's does go through that dark ride section, drops down, and then goes into one final launch before it hits the brake run. I decided to add 2 launches because I thought that'd be cool. So you actually do head into another launch before that brake run. As you can see, I'm fixing the spike there, making it a bit taller, smoothing it out. And yeah, so you're actually going to go into one big launch towards the end, and then go into another launch to sort of catch you off guard, I guess. And then you're going to go into a huge bank turn, probably the highest point in the ride, I want to say. and then you go through a few more turns before heading into that final brake run. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome ride once it's themed. Theming wise, you are going to enter through the museum, which is where the blue diamond was stolen from. Well, it wasn't really stolen from, but it was put away in there, and there's going to be some sort of pre-show to do with that. You're going to see Wallace with his gnoming device and everything, and it's about catching, well, not really catching, but sort of regaining control of the Norbots, because in the most recent film, obviously, there was a whole thing about the Norbots being taken over by Feathers McGraw. I basically want Vengeance Most Fowl as a film to be the storyline of this coaster, but obviously a lot simpler, so you can actually follow it whilst you're riding. And because I don't have 75 minutes to tell the story, I only have about 3 minutes on the coaster. So yeah, you're going to do these launches and various turns and stuff. You're going to head into the zoo, you're going to see Feathers McGraw and the Norbots, and they're obviously going to be taken over. And Hagrid does this really cool thing that I don't think anyone really uses, but these purple buttons on the motorbikes, if you slap them towards the end, you're supposed to get a little interactive feature, maybe some smoke or something that comes out of the launch, like the side of it, and you're supposed to like hit it at a certain time when Hagrid tells you to. I thought it'd be really cool to change that to reboot buttons, so when Wallace says reboot the Norbots, you slap the reboot button in front of you, and then the Norbots will start rebooting, and everything will be back to normal by the time you get back to the brake run. So there's a whole storyline going on here. Don't worry, I'm not just going to put loads of trees around and call it a day. That's not what we're doing in this park. Heavily themed storyline coasters is the necessity in this theme park, along with good operations, which I've tried to do. There's actually going to be 8, I think maybe 9 trains, 8 or 9 trains to 6 or 7 trains. I don't know how many it's got, but it's got an amount of trains that is a very good amount, where the station is barely ever empty. So hopefully it runs like that forever. I did reboot the game recently. Haha, reboot joke. Hit your reboot buttons, guys. But upon reloading, it just completely killed the coaster. It died. I don't know why. It just kept stopping on the launches and everything. So hopefully I've fixed it now because I tweaked it. But we shall see. Either way, I'm now building more of that town square area. It's quite funny because the museum, I actually thought from the films, was the town hall. So if you go back to the previous episode where I revealed the actual area, you can see on the actual entrance portal, it says Town Hall above the middle, where it's supposed to say museum. Fun fact for you there. Yeah, I messed that up, but I fixed it now, and we're making that museum in the centre, and I'm actually going to start making that in just a moment. But I'm building these sort of buildings around because I want to have that full area come to life, and you're going to be able to go through those brick walls at the side where the zoo wall is, and potentially go and look at the coaster through the queue line and stuff. I don't really know how I'm going to do that. I'd like to have a viewing area of the main coaster itself, but I kind of like the fact that it's all behind walls and stuff, and you don't really know what's there until you get into the queue line and you'll be able to see it. I kind of like that secrecy, but at the same time, I also don't. So there's going to be a lot of thinking to do with this ride, and I'm very excited to build that entire queue line and sort of start building the entire thing. And this is sort of the start of that queue line, I guess, because we're building the entrance building for it. The museum itself, you're going to walk in, there's going to be the sort of celebration banners of, oh, the Blue Diamond, and then maybe you'll watch a pre-show where they sort of undo the Blue Diamond and it's disappeared. I know the coaster isn't fully based on the Blue Diamond, it's more about the Norbots, but I feel like that ties in well anyway, and I'll probably end up tying it in the coaster anyway. I just think it'd be really cool to do a pre-show of some kind and put some like animatronic movement in there, or like maybe do like an illusion or something if I can. I really want to go all out with these sort of coasters and stuff, which is exactly what I wanted to do with the test track F1 thing, because nothing like that exists in the game even still, and you sort of have to not break the game, but do things that you shouldn't do with certain ride types to make other ride types. And I really like doing that. I like pushing myself to actually make these innovative things, and it was like the Dance Macabre thing in the last park, The Legend of Penglai. That was great because I think that was one of my favourite rides I built because it was so unique and I had to sort of manufacture it myself, I guess. But it won't be like that, anything in this park. All of it's going to be rideable, I hope, and I'm really hoping for the next dark ride that's coming in this park, the one that's going to be, well, entering into 62 West Wallaby Street. I'm hoping that I can do that, because that is not in the game either. Shout out to Emily, my girlfriend, for coming up with the idea for that, because Em literally sat there and was just like, oh, you should do this. And I was like, oh my god, that is an absolutely amazing idea. So I'm going to do that in the next few episodes. Well, in the one after the next one. Because in the next episode, we're going to add some more rides. If you didn't see, behind those walls over to the left, there is 2 massive circular plots. And I'm going to add 2 rides there. I don't know what to add, what to theme them to, but we'll get there. Probably flat rides. I think it's just best to have some little flat rides here and there alongside a dark ride and a big coaster. I think it's the exact same as the F1 area. I think that works really well. And then, of course, you've got the coaster, which we're going to be theming up in that episode too. And then the big dark ride. So, yeah, very excited for that. And I'm sort of just making the entrance to that museum now. At first, it looks a bit more like a bank. But, you know, it works. As you can see, trying to cover up the sort of gold plate at the top, because that does look very, very big. And I managed to flip it upside down and do it like that. And I just think the inside of that queue is going to be really nice and different to anything I've built in the game before. And I really can't wait to show you guys everything I've done. And I'm going to show you guys everything I've done so far, right now, in real time. Yes, you join me here at the front entrance of Discovery Studios. It's been a while since we started at the front of the park, so I thought we'd come to the front of the park and start it. As you can see, walking in, there is actually a new poster I don't think I've shown, as you can see, for the F1 area, with the F1 car there and the F1 logo. I thought it'd be quite nice to stick that on there. That used to just be a black background with 2 red lines. And now we know what it is, as we know what that is now. Wallace and Gromit. There are actually 2 more on there and an extra area on top that is yet to be revealed, and the Kronos has yet to be charged up for those areas to be revealed. But here we go then. Here is the Wallace and Gromit portal. I didn't actually get a time lapse of me building it, but I came up with this idea of having this sort of invention-esque front to it, such as the huge cog you can see, and then in the background referencing the different parts of the area. So you have the sort of West Wallaby Street house, and then the museum, which you're going to enter in to go into the zoo, which has the motorbike sidecar coaster. You know, it's a nice little story. It gives you a bit of a sort of a gauge on what you're about to experience, and you can sort of already see what you're going to experience when you walk in here. Yes, welcome to West Wallaby Street. As you can see, West Wallaby Street on the sign there, classic British road sign. And yeah, here we are in the area. You can see various different houses and obviously more houses all the way up the street. But we'll get onto that in just a moment, because I want to show you the cross point between here and the F1 area. Obviously, I mentioned the fact that this is heavily inspired by Epic Universe, and one of the flaws of that park is, as much as it makes the theming really good, you can't really cross over between worlds through the different worlds unless you go out of the portals and then into the next one. So with this park, I thought it'd be really cool to just have those small little hidden away areas where you can just go into a brick wall or something like this and pass through to the next area without having to leave into the central hub again. I think it will work so much better for guest flow. And yeah, you've got like the F1 British Grand Prix showing today, and then the Blue Diamond exhibition at the museum posters. I really do like how I've done this. I'm really happy with that. And you can barely see the coaster through the trees as well. But as you can see, this is Wallace and Gromit's house. You've got the huge antenna up there, and of course that massive slide, which is really random. And you can go into the actual house through there to go on the dark ride, which has a wait time of 10 minutes. Despite the fact I haven't built it yet. People are already queuing up for it. That's crazy. But yeah, you'll notice that that house is the only one that has the open gate and the open door. So you'll walk past all of these ones, and as you can see, all the doors are shut. There's no gates. I forgot to put them on. Whoops. Right here, you have a little van that I saw on the actual scenery page, and I thought, oh, that looks quite nice. So you could stick an animatronic or something in there and have it as if it's serving out some sort of fast food option. And I called it Top Bun, which is a reference to Matter and Loaf of Death, which is when they turn their house into a huge bakery. But that is not the case with this version of West Wallaby Street. A lot of the cobbled paths and everything and the road isn't smooth, and I was originally going to fix that, but I thought, it's a British street. There's no way it will be perfect. So I think the rigid and sort of like bad edges of these sort of pathways and stuff, as much as they do look a bit off, I do actually quite like it because it gives off that sort of British street vibe, and I kind of like it. But yeah, I just love how this street came out. It looks very British. It looks really cool. The fact you can't see any other rides or like any other things in other areas from here. And yeah, the fact it all leads up to the museum in the center. Of course, this is very unfinished right now. You can see all the walls. I've made a little grocery shop. I thought that'd be quite nice. And over here, that pub. If you have any names for the pub or the grocery shop, leave them in the comments, whether they be references to the films or not, references to videos on the channel or anything, even any other shop ideas, leave them in the comments. There's so many different things we can do, so I'd love to see your ideas. And then over here is where we're going to have those 2 other rides. They won't take up that much portion of land. They are huge. I forgot about that. But I do want a couple little family or kids flat rides in the area, maybe like fun fair themed, because you could sort of get away with that because it's like a little fair that the street's holding. I think that'd be really nice, actually. I've just come up with an idea on the spot. What a fantastic brain I have. But as you can see, there is a house over there. That'll be removed. This will all be shop fronts once again. And then you can head through the museum straight into the entrance for the motorbike sidecar coaster. Not that that is anywhere near complete, and just want to give you a sense of scale of how big this coaster is so you can see how much space that takes up. Let's look at the F1 area. This coaster is tiny compared to this one, and it does go quite far back, as you can see where the drop track and the reverse spike are. Like, it is so far away compared to everything else, and I do quite like that, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot to theme. And I've said it already, and it would be wrong not to. I'm going to give you a work in progress POV of just the coaster layout itself, just to show you what we're working with here. And you guys can start thinking up some names, or even if you have a different story you think would work better, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to read all of them. But yeah, we're going to hop on the ride, and I'm going to sit in the motorbike. I'm going to sort of angle it down like that. You see what I mean? Like the buttons here, like that could be the reboot button. You have to slam it. And yeah, I think we're ready to go. There is actually some on-ride audio I've put on this. It's not fully complete yet because I need some Wallace voice lines in there. But as you can see, you can hear the music starting. I'll stay a little bit quieter throughout this, but I'll sort of take you through. You got the first mini little launch here. There'll be a scene off to your left or right. There we go, starting off in the motorbike, and then we go into our first major launch. As you can see, just nice flowy elements, you know. And then we're going to head into this bank turn here. Still a bit of smoothing to do here and there. Into another launch, there we go. That'll get you very close to the zoo wall, I feel. Maybe like Wallace shouting, "Oh, careful, Gromit." And then you head into this scene here where there's going to be something like an animatronic or something happening in the center. And then it's going to be more like, oh no, Gromit, we need to go and find me Norbots. And here we go into that major launch up over the zoo wall. And then this bit's going to have a few little, like, not jump scares, but a few animatronics jumping out at you like a lion and stuff. Again, from Vengeance Most Fowl. And then we're going to head into the Keep Out area, which is where this is going to take place. Sort of taken a wrong turn, or maybe Norbots cut like the tree branch and it's blocked the way. And like in Close Shave, the sidecar turns into a plane and we fly backwards. Oh, I love this piece of audio. It's so good. They use it in Thrill-O-Matic in Blackpool as well. It's fantastic. And there we go, breaking into the drop track. And here, I think, is where you're going to see Feathers, McGraw, and the Norbots. And they're just sort of going to be staring into your soul. And then maybe Feathers pulls like a lever or something, and that's when you drop down. Like his submarine does, I don't know. In time with the music as well. Oh, audio engineer right here. And then you head into that penultimate launch. Flying along. And then, yeah, there's so many different like turns and stuff. This bit's a bit weird. I had to reprofile that a couple times. And then into that final launch. Here we go. Oh, there was a little bit of a bump there. I need to fix that. I haven't realised that before. And then we go into this like S-curves. And then into one final little hill. Into the brakes. And then it's like, oh, we did it! Haha! Yeah, Wallace and Gromit theme. So awesome. Yeah, so I'm really loving this so far. If you can't tell, I am enjoying myself way too much building this thing, but that's because I'm a big Wallace and Gromit fan, and the ideas in my head, I just cannot wait to bring them into fruition. But I thought I'd give you this episode anyway, just to sort of show you what I've done so far. I feel like the whole of West Wallaby Street in general being completed, like this section here, was enough to warrant an episode anyway, and there was even a bit of street audio there if you heard it. But yeah, I'm super excited to get into theming this. Again, if you have any name suggestions for the coaster, I know I haven't themed it yet, so I probably won't select one just yet. But if you have any ideas to put towards this coaster, please leave them in the comments. I cannot wait to read all of them. And hopefully so far the Wallace and Gromit area is living up to the expectations. Fingers crossed. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of this series, because there's going to be so many more cool things to come, especially when we finish this coaster as well and move on to that insane dark ride, which I really hope I can do. But like the test track one, it might take a little bit of mental engineering to try and do that. But yes, subscribe so you don't miss it, and see you in the next episode.